Welcome back to the dark side, everyone on YouTube. Darth Vader's coming back at you with another video today, and today's video is going to be a Star Wars lightsaber video review. It would be my first video review in years. I can't even remember my last video review on the channel. So, the lightsabers that I will be reviewing will be Signature Series, Black Series, and Force Effects Elite. So, right off the bat, I'm gonna go ahead and say that these, before I even get into reviewing each one and providing my thoughts and opinion on each lightsaber, these are definitely worth having a part of the collection. Like, if you want them for display purposes, I don't really display them. I kind of do more of a photography with them. Maybe kind of like a couple videos here and there. But if you want something, if you want a lightsaber for that purpose that also kind of has like the appropriate blade length and really illuminates the room in like complete darkness for like a really cooler photo, these are the lightsabers to go for. I didn't buy them like all in one go. I kind of spaced out my purchase of each lightsaber over time. So the first one I bought was Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and then it was Anakin, followed by Vader, Luke, and Revan. So, these four lightsabers from Vader to Anakin, I got them off of eBay. Revan's lightsaber, I actually got it from GameStop. It had actually been sitting in the store for a very long time. Like, no one was interested in buying it. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to be the person that buys it. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, first lightsaber we're going to have a look at will be Anakin's lightsaber, as it appeared in Revenge of the Sith. And of course, it's easy to tell that it's made from metal. I know some people have a preference of, I know there are some people who would put on like rubber gloves in order to keep their fingerprints off the lightsaber hilt because of the material and its reflectiveness and whatnot. They want that to last for a long time. Me, I don't want to do that. I want to actually, hold the lightsaber in my hand because I'm going to be doing photos with it, and I don't want to be wearing rubber gloves when I'm trying to take really cool and badass looking photos. So, but it's a very nice attention to detail in the overall look of the lightsaber itself, the hand grip, of course, and I forget what this section is called. I think that's also kind of like part of the hand grip, somewhat. And of course, we have the ignition box. I forget what the right terminology is. And of course, pushing up and pushing down would be how you ignite and deactivate the lightsaber. Now, the Hasbro Signature Series lightsabers are not numbered like the original Black Series lightsabers are. So, easiest way to find this online would simply be by going to eBay or wherever you're going to buy the lightsaber from. Type in Star Wars Signature Series, and then the name of the character for the lightsaber that you're looking for. So, it's really great, to say the least. The quality is great. One thing that took me by surprise when I first got these lightsabers in general. not just the Signature Series, but the Force Effects lightsabers as well. The Black Series Force Effects lightsabers is, sorry, it's the weight that the lightsabers have, primarily around the hilt. And it's something that really took me off guard for a lightsaber of this quality. But it's expected, especially considering that all the electronics and whatnot, the main electronics and everything, are going to be kept within the hilt of the lightsaber. So. Overall, the sound quality, it's very loud. It's pretty impressive, to say the least. The ignition and the hum, and the retraction or the deactivation of the lightsaber is very unique to Signature Series as opposed to the Black Series. The ignition and the humming of the lightsaber are kind of like layered on top of each other. Whereas with the Black Series lightsabers, which we'll get into in a moment, they're not layered, but it's a seamless transition from the ignition to the humming of the lightsaber. And the deactivation sound is, I expect nothing less of a lightsaber of this quality, especially when it comes to Anakin's lightsaber. The deactivation sound, that's the sound I expect out of Anakin's lightsaber. So of course now we move into Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and it is Star Wars The Black Series Force Effects number 6. And depicted on the box is Ben Kenobi, but the lightsaber itself, true Star Wars fans can easily recognize that this is more akin to the design of the lightsaber as it appeared in Revenge of the Sith versus A New Hope. And of course, it's made of the same material. This was the lightsaber that I first got of the Black Series line. This was how I knew these lightsabers were heavy. And compared to the Signature Series lightsaber, this is what the ignition sounds like. And as I mentioned, the ignition and the humming is a seamless transition. They're not layered like Anakin and Darth Vader's lightsabers are, but it's a seamless transition. And that's something that I like about the lightsabers. It's got to be a seamless transition from the ignition to the humming of the lightsaber. I don't mind I'm completely fine with the fact that the Signature Series lightsabers, the ignitions are layered on top of the humming of the lightsaber. That's something that doesn't bother me. So, now we move on into Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. And of course, this is the lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, Star Wars The Black Series, Force Effects number 5. And of course, it's not made of the same kind of, reflective metal material like with Vader and Obi-Wan and Anakin. And it's not supposed to. It's kind of, it's Luke's lightsaber. Luke was made of probably like old metal. Whenever it comes to Luke's lightsaber, everyone has in mind the ignition sound from Return of the Jedi, which is, it's not like this ignition. No one is thinking of that kind of ignition whenever it comes to Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. They're thinking of the other ignition. And, whenever I hear that ignition over this ignition, I'm like, yeah, that ignition sounds a little more appropriate for Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in general. Unfortunately, the arrows on here, they don't light up. But all in all, it's a great lightsaber for what it is. So. Then we move on to Darth Vader's lightsaber. And this lightsaber is the base design of all Star Wars media whenever it comes to Darth Vader and his lightsaber. This lightsaber was, I'm guessing, intentionally designed to resemble the lightsaber that he carried as Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones. And, of course, it just has darker accents because it's Darth Vader. So I'm thinking the reason why it bears that resemblance is because that was meant to represent when Anakin first experienced the dark side of the Force, when he slaughtered that camp of Tusken Raiders. So, compared to the other 3 lightsabers that I've shown, this is what the ignition sounds like. But of course, the deactivation, that's the sound I expect out of Darth Vader's lightsaber. It's a great deactivation. Personally, I don't like the ignition. I would prefer the Sith lightsaber ignition. However, the lightsaber clashing effects sound more like the Sith lightsaber ignition. So while it's not the actual Sith lightsaber ignition, there's a sound effect when you clash the sabers together, so it's acceptable for me. I know there are other people who would prefer a Darth Vader lightsaber that sounds like the Sith lightsabers whenever they're ignited, rather than it being a clashing sound effect. So, and of course, finally, we move on to Darth Revan's lightsaber, Star Wars The Black Series Force Effects Elite. Unlike the original Black Series line, the Force Effects Elite lightsabers are not numbered. To my knowledge, they're not. Anyways, so, right off the bat, it kind of looks like it's not really made of the same kind of metal material as the other lightsabers, which I can kind of see. I've actually heard that from another reviewer who said that it's not really made of the same kind of metal material that were used in the other lightsabers before Force Effects Elite. And that's kind of like a drawback to me. I want it to be like actual genuine metal. I want it to, to feel like I'm actually holding a lightsaber. Now, of course, the design of the lightsaber hilt itself makes it hard to get like a proper grip on the weapon itself. However, I found that, if I kind of hold it more like this, it's a bit easier to hold the lightsaber rather than just trying to wrap your whole hand around it like normal people would do. Kind of like at the hilt. So I kind of hold it more like this, which is probably how Revan actually holds his lightsaber, and we just don't know it. And of course, the spikes at the top of the lightsaber pull back so you can unscrew this and remove the lightsaber blade. These buttons, the red button is to ignite the lightsaber, the green button is for the effects. You press and hold both buttons together to change the lightsaber blade from purple to red and back. So, So, Revan's lightsaber has the standard, iconic, basic lightsaber ignition, if that makes any sense. The downside to the lightsaber ignition itself is that there is a half a second to a full second delay between the ignition and the humming of the lightsaber. So it's not a full seamless transition from ignition to the humming, nor is it a layered effect. It's more of... it's a delay in the overall ignition to the humming of the lightsaber, which I'm not really a fan of, honestly. But all in all, it's a really great lightsaber. You know, this is the little, I guess, blade plug, if you will, that you would have to, kind of remove before you put in the blade of a lightsaber. Whenever you take the blade out, you would put that back in after you place in the little kyber crystal, so that you can show the kyber crystal off whenever it's red or it's purple. So, we've had a look at the lightsabers ignited. We've heard what they sound like. Now I'm going to show you guys what they look like whenever they're ignited in the dark. So just like before, we'll be starting off with Anakin's lightsaber. So, in person, it's pretty bright, but it comes up, something I've noticed is that it comes up a lot brighter on camera in the dark. And since I've taken photos of the lightsaber, the photographs make the lightsabers look a lot more movie accurate, where it's the white blade in the middle, and it's giving off like a blue hue on the sides, if that makes sense. So, now we'll be moving on into Obi-Wan's lightsaber. So in person, compared to Anakin's lightsaber, Obi-Wan's lightsaber is a little brighter than Anakin's lightsaber. So that's a little advantage that the Force Effects lightsabers have over the Signature Series lightsabers. Now we move on to Luke's lightsaber. So, it's a great lightsaber for what it is. Of course, some lightsabers are going to have, like, whenever you hit your hand or you hit the blade, it's not going to register that it's a clash. So, of course, that's a downside to the Signature Series and the Force Effects lightsabers. And of course now, Darth Vader's. In person, the lightsaber isn't that bright, but compared to the Ultimate Effects lightsabers that I have, it's brighter than the Darth Vader Ultimate Effects lightsaber, which I enjoy. And of course, finally, Darth Revan's lightsaber. The other dislike that I have for Revan's lightsaber is that compared to Signature Series and Force Effects Elite, the original Force Effects lightsabers, is the deactivation is like a slow crawl compared to other lightsabers where it's a little faster. And it's a minor thing, but the overall appearance that it has in photographs it's easy for me to not really worry about it as much, but I was kind of hoping for like a slightly darker shade of purple for Revan's lightsaber. So here's what I mean when it comes to the deactivation of the lightsaber being slower. It's like a slow crawl, so whenever a lightsaber like this, a Force Effects Elite lightsaber, to me, it should have a little more excitement to it as a lightsaber. But there's really not that much excitement to it, especially whenever it comes to the deactivation of the lightsaber itself. Now, what I think they could have done for Revan's lightsaber is kind of give it a different set of sounds whenever it's red. So, like, they could have given it the Sith lightsaber ignition and the Sith lightsaber retraction. They also could have given it a different lightsaber ignition sound because it's Darth Revan. And maybe a different lightsaber retraction sound compared to other lightsabers. So, whenever I think Force Effects Elite, I think is going to be a whole lot better than the previous lightsabers in the world. But instead, it just ends up being a minor disappointment. Depending on the person, it can either be a minor disappointment or a major disappointment. So, again, Vader's lightsaber. And that's something else I just thought of. They could have given it different movement sounds. Whenever the lightsaber swings through the air, it should sound like whenever it's set on the red blade, it should have like a Sith lightsaber movement effect, if you will, like Vader's. So, here's a difference between the ignition of the lightsabers. Once again. So, ignition, deactivation. So they really missed out on a lot of things, especially when it came to Darth Revan's lightsaber. So, yeah, they missed a lot of opportunities with Darth Revan's lightsaber, especially making it unique from other lightsabers, because it's Knights of the Old Republic. They should have given it a more old kind of lightsaber sound effect, rather than more of like the modern lightsabers like Luke, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. They've also could have given it a different soundboard, or like a sound font, if you will, whenever it comes to being set to the Sith setting as opposed to the Jedi setting. You know, it's just everything still sounds the same, it's just a different blade color altogether. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and if so, why not leave a like on the video down below. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe, turn on the notification icon so you don't miss a single video that I upload. I do have plans in the future, don't know how far into the future, to add more lightsabers to my collection. Then of course I will be doing a separate video review on that lightsaber. This was something I wanted to do like a mass video review of, because, well, I have a large collection of lightsabers. 5 may not seem like much. I know there are people who have more lightsabers than I do, but not everyone can be a winner. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Remember, the Force will be with you always, and your destiny lies with me. Obi-Wan knew this to be true.